Thank you, Area Director Anne, for joining us this afternoon to talk to us about how we can talk about Toastmasters to prospective members. But before we start on that, please tell us a bit about your Toastmasters journey.
Okay, I joined Toastmasters during COVID 2020, June 2020. And I had heard about Toastmasters before. I had even visited the club. And I remember being very fascinated. I visited one of those lunch hour clubs somewhere in Nairobi. I remember being very fascinated by the timekeeping, by the table topics. I could not believe people could speak for 1 minute, 1 to 2 minutes. I thought it was impossible. You can't make sense in 1 to 2 minutes. But I never joined. Then during COVID, I was staying with some family member and I was preparing to speak somewhere. She had me speak and she told me, I like the way you speak, but your pause fillers are killing what you're saying. When she said pause fillers, I said, that sounds familiar. There's somewhere I went where they're talking about pause fillers. She said, yes, Toastmasters. I said, what? There's Toastmasters in Uganda? I want to be part of that. And a few months down the road, I was signed up. In fact, she called me in the night. She said, I'm signing you up. Do you have the money on you? No, I am paying. You pay me back. So it wasn't a thing that took a long time. Immediately, I found out there's a club next to me. I signed up, and as you can see, it was the pause fillers. Immediately said them. I thought, we need to get done with these pause fillers. And I joined Toastmasters. When I joined, I really joined to get done with pause fillers. That was the whole goal. And I remember my first meeting was when they had just elected the new executive committee. And so they sent me a member interest survey and asked, do you want to be part of competitions? I said, no. Do you want to be a leader? I said, no. Like, do you want to do anything? No. I came to speak and remove pause fillers. A few years down the road, we can see I was wrong. I wanted to do all those other things. By the end of that year, I was a leader. I was vice president education for my club. By the end of that year, I was part of the speech contest. I remember I did table topics. I was so stressed because I really feared them. During COVID, when they would call your name, you just pretend your network is not good so that you don't speak. I really feared them. And that is the contest. I was part of that year. I remember, I think October, November 2020, I was part of that contest. And I was surprised. I won and went to the area level. And I was thinking, what are these people doing to me? I came here for pause fillers. The second thing was I actually wanted friends. No, okay, maybe not friends, but to meet new people. Meet people outside my usual circle. I've been to very few schools and I've had the same friends for more than 20 years. I kept thinking, it would be nice to meet people that think differently, grow up differently. And I joined Toastmasters. I only knew that one person who introduced me. I didn't know anyone else. And that person got too busy, didn't renew membership. So I was alone. Yeah. And here we are, making friends, meeting people across the world, not even continent. The other day I logged into a meeting in India, across the world. And working on this pause filler still. That's my Toastmaster journey.
I find that quite amazing. First of all, how people join Toastmasters to network, to meet new people, to make new friends, and the importance of every role in Toastmasters. Even the counter role is quite important in
Very.
attracting people to our clubs. And something else you said was how you didn't want to do all those leadership stuff and contests, but eventually you got onto them. And I think that brings us to the first question I would ask, which is, there are times that there's information that can overwhelm a new guest. And so why is it important not to share too much information to a guest at the very beginning?
I I feel people are very different. When I think about it, I can get very driven. And usually I'm very focused. So if I say this is what I want, that's what I want. And I will hear you out, but it may do very little to change me. However, there are people I have talked to and they're thinking, that's overwhelming. It feels like a full-time job, either to take leadership, and then you're taking leadership and you're attending meetings and you are in contest. It feels like there's always something to do. And so the thing I have discovered is everyone has something they want to grow in. When I was introduced to Toastmasters, it was my public speaking and post fillers. Just giving me, I keep thinking the secret was she answered a need. She did not tell me all those things, you come and I know you like leading, you lead. She didn't tell me those things because you never know the season someone is in. At that time, I didn't want to lead. I do not get, I don't like contests. Like, I'm not those people who volunteer to compete. And so many times I found we overwhelm people like that. First of all, that member interest survey is huge. It was long. I was thinking, why isn't this ending? But also it's things I didn't know. I didn't know what a contest means. I was so new. I didn't know what a contest means. I didn't know what the leadership journey looked like. I kept thinking, I'm new. Why are you asking me if I want to lead? I don't know any of those things. So sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And I feel it can be a put off. Someone could easily decide, I just came here to talk or I just came to network. I don't know what you're talking about. So it's important to, one, know the need. And the need is not necessarily in the member interest survey. It's in conversation. Just like, actually, that was the VPM of Mienga then. She knew exactly what my need was, and that's what she talked about. She didn't talk about anything else. So by the time these other things were coming up, I had gotten in and we were working on my need. So I feel being able to have conversation with people, know exactly what the need is before introducing so many benefits of Toastmasters helps people make the decision faster.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do like that, how we need to focus on the specific need that they would like to be fulfilled. And then later we can share with them the other benefits that that are available in Toastmasters, because even at that initial stage, they really don't understand much about what goes on in a Toastmasters club. So we now know that we shouldn't share too much, but what is the basic information about Toastmasters that we need to share with guests?
I have found what I share, and sometimes I think maybe it's because that's where I lean. I believe all of us have a space to grow. I don't think we ever arrive with our leadership or public speaking, regardless of how awesome we are and how much we have interacted with Toastmasters and other spaces of growth. We never really arrive. So the thing I introduce is usually the public speaking, and not just the public speaking, the practicality, because you could read a book on public speaking, but is the book able to give you feedback after you speak? Is it a safe environment for you to grow? So usually I'll speak about public speaking, but not just public speaking, the safe environment for growth, which I feel is the most important thing Toastmasters gives a person. Safe environment. Better than even a class, a school, it's safe. No one is giving you marks. So safe environment for growth, both as a public speaker, but I love leadership. So usually I'll put in leadership. And I like to push because I may think, what? I don't want to lead as such. We are leading even ourselves. So just the ability to what each of those roles does for me. So usually I'll just give safe environment for growth, public speaking, and leadership, because those are things I believe all of us want to grow in. And then, of course, the detail comes in later of what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That is the thing that makes Toastmasters unique, that safe environment, a place where you can actually practice public speaking in front of other people. And so that would be, I think, the ideal information to share with guests who come to our clubs. And maybe to think about the different type of people that you might encounter as guests in a Toastmasters club. Who are the different types of guests that you have encountered? Are there different ways to approach them?
Yes, they are. I'll start with the one I find most difficult to address. The ones who believe it's a wine taking club. Come and toast. Like, I don't know what to do about that one. Though I visited the club that usually has a bottle of wine and they're ready to toast. So I kept thinking, that's a way to deal with the guest who comes for fun. Okay, really, they say they have come because they thought it's wine tasting. But what they're saying is, I have come to have fun.
Right.
And I think Uganda does this very well. We know how to have fun. So we usually have opportunity for fun. I thought that was really clever of that club. The vice president membership would come with a bottle of wine because usually 3 people would take the wine, but the person who came for the wine or the wine tasting is excited. And according to them, they're having fun. So there's the fun aspect. And I feel we are able to make meetings fun so that someone doesn't need to wait for a social, for a hangout. The meeting itself should have an aspect of fun. Then there are people who come to network. Sometimes I feel those are even more than the people who come to public speak. There are people who come to network, they are business people, they want to meet new clients, they want to meet new people. And some of the ways I've seen that dealt with that I thought was really, really nice. When you ask a guest to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves, sometimes you hear it. Because the person who has come for clients will talk about their business or their work. And now we know you have given them the platform. That's the first stage. You have given them the platform to speak. So there are those who come to network. So it could be for clients, or it could be like me, just meet new people. For the first few months, I hardly said anything. I took up a role every single meeting. From my first meeting, I took up a role, but I hardly said anything. In fact, my favorite role was timer, because the timer hardly says anything apart from saying how much time people spend. So every time they said, who wants to be a timer, I said me, because it would mean I would be in the meeting, I would interact with role takers. So that's a controlled environment. I'll be able to interact with other role takers and get to know people. Then eventually I became comfortable enough to do other things. So for networking, there are those for business, but there are also those who just want to meet new people. Table topics, allowing people to chat. There are some online meetings I've attended where the session after the meeting is longer than the meeting itself because people are catching up, or even in physical meetings where people stay and talk, and then it's 11, you're like, what? We need to go home. So giving that opportunity to network. And then, of course, the third category is the people who want to grow. I have seen people come, especially I think when I was president, I talked to people a lot more as they came in. And at that time, we had many people who had been promoted at their jobs, and they're thinking, I need to figure this thing out, and I need to figure it out quickly. So I don't need the whole year. Like, is there a crash course? So being able to work with someone through mentorship, connect them with other people who can help them grow. I remember someone saying, oh, I've just joined, but I have a presentation at work in 2 weeks. Are you open to listening and giving me feedback? I'm like, let's get onto the Zoom call. Let's do that. Because the person came with a need and a goal. So there are a number of that. There's that. And then, of course, I feel for most of those people, you come, you want to grow. The leadership aspect is not as pronounced because we're really known for public speaking. So sometimes someone comes and then they discover, oh, I could also grow as a leader as they listen to feedback. So for those ones, mentorship, coaching, and exposing them to as many opportunities for growth and speaking as possible. That's the way I deal. Those are the members I've come across a lot. The person who has come for fun is the hardest for me because I want to make you take up a role, and well, they're like, no, I just want to have fun. And that's why we have like lots of fun things these days happening in Uganda, because you're thinking there are people who came and they just really are looking for people to have fun with, and it's fine. It doesn't make sense to the person who came to grow, but the other person has a goal for their lives, and it's to have fun, and they decided Toastmasters is the place they will have that fun. So how do we help them meet that goal? Yes, those are the people I have met.
I like the fact that they usually say what they came to Toastmasters for. And I think for VPMs, for the club officers, is to just listen to them as they're speaking, and you're going to hear the need that they have, and then go out of our way to meet those needs that brought them to Toastmasters. So I think maybe a way we could wrap this up is how are guests typically persuaded to join a Toastmasters club?
One of the things I believe in is the power of the story. When I tell you my Toastmasters journey, you can't argue with me. You can't say, no, you haven't grown. I don't believe in that. No, you can't. I have, I'm saying this, then I'm hoping no one checks, but there's some videos of mine on YouTube. They're horrible. They're horrible. And the reason they are horrible is not because I'm a horrible, I don't believe I'm a horrible public speaker, but I really, really don't like the camera. So I'm like, why are we recording? I'm that. If I am in a place and there's no camera, I'm very fine. Immediately the camera goes up, I'm thinking, what? I'm just going to say the most embarrassing thing. And so there's some videos of mine out there. They're horrible. And because they are not my property, I can't pull them down. They're someone else's properties. So I just dodge them. That's the only thing I can do. I decided I would start recording YouTube videos just to prove that there's a journey. I have grown. Hopefully one day I will be brave enough to find those videos and show people and say, this is where I came from. And you can't argue with that. When I gave a speech this week and my evaluator sent a message before evaluating and said, this is the best speech I've had you give. First of all, I was like, what do you mean? How bad was I before? But because I didn't think it was that good. But being able to see my personal growth and share with people what that growth looks like. Every time someone has made a comment about how I give feedback, and it's not necessarily even in public speaking, I have grown as a leader because Toastmasters talks about feedback. So every time someone makes a comment about how I am giving them good feedback, I say, do you know where I learned that from? Toastmasters. So I believe in the power of a story. And I have found, for me, it makes it so much easier to help a guest, to tell them this is where I was and this is where I am. But this is also what I aspire to be. Because if I have arrived, then there is no reason for me to be here. These are some of the things I'm working through. And there are guests who I have told that, and they listen to me, and then they tell me afterwards, oh, by the way, you had this number of pause fillers, because I've told them I'm still working on that. Then I told another guest I struggle with vocal variety and body language because I'm very cautious. And at the end of the meeting, they say, oh, I see what you're saying. You know how to give the speech, but you do need to improve on that. Of course, it's a place of vulnerability because you're telling a guest, yes, I am better, but I'm still working on this. But also it means you are telling them this is a safe environment for me to grow. So that's my number one go to personal story. I was here. This is where I was, this is where I am right now, and this is where I aspire to be in this journey of Toastmasters.
Fantastic. Telling our personal stories, being a bit vulnerable about how we've grown is going to demonstrate the kind of safe environment that we have at Toastmasters. And it's a quite convincing thing. I can testify to that myself. When I was a VPM, that worked wonders in getting guests to join. Thank you so much. And especially, I think the thing that we can remember from this video is find that need that brought someone to Toastmasters and find a way of meeting it. Thank you so much once again, AD Ann, for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you, DTM Robert. This was great. Thank you.